The Black Soul of the Old Doll. The story was told by a woman on a mystery story website. I'll tell it on her behalf. This doll haunted me, relentlessly. It felt as though its eyes were always upon me, and at night I would encounter it in my nightmares. The girl confessed that this toy spoke to her at night, recounting tales of hell, where her mother, who had taken her own life, now resided, and issuing various instructions. I met Zhenya and Valeriya on a crowded bus. No one seemed willing to give up their seat for the man and his 5-year-old daughter. The little girl was jostled from all sides. I shifted, seating the slender girl beside me, and so it all began. Zhenya was a widower. I didn't learn about what happened to his wife immediately. There was a tragedy. A young, healthy, happy woman suddenly ended her own life for some unknown reason. Zhenya and I grew close, and 6 months later, I moved in with him. His daughter took it calmly, albeit a little warily. On the very first evening, Lyra led me to her room to show me her favorite doll, which I hadn't seen until then. Upon seeing it, I recoiled. The toy was of a terribly eerie appearance, old and worn. It had empty eye sockets and a frightening grin. I thought that we needed to get rid of this monstrosity immediately and replace it with a nice new doll for the girl. Why hadn't her father done this earlier? "This is Mommy's doll," Lyra said, extending it to me. I took the toy with disgust. It felt cold and slightly sticky to the touch. A shiver of revulsion ran down my spine. The hollow eyes seemed to glare at me menacingly. When Zhenya and I were alone, I said, "We should throw away this doll. It's hideous." "No, it's just old," Zhenya replied. "Lyra loves it. She calls it Mira. Her grandmother used to play with this doll too. But would you at least allow it to be cleaned and dressed in new clothes?" asked Larochka. "It doesn't matter to me." Zhenya shrugged. This toy continued to haunt me. It seemed to watch me, and at night I saw it in my nightmares. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore, and suggested to my stepdaughter that we tidy up the room and get rid of old things, hoping we could also dispose of the creepy doll. Lyra obediently sorted through all the necessary and unnecessary items, but when it came to the doll, she adamantly refused to take it out with the trash. The girl confessed that the doll talked to her at night, telling her about hell where her mother had gone, and giving her various instructions. For instance, according to Lyra, the doll was jealous of her teddy bear, with whom the little girl slept, and eventually tore it apart. The girl hid the remains of her beloved bear under the bed to avoid angering Mirai. "She doesn't like you either," Lyra said. "She says you're bad and that you should leave." I tried to reassure the child, assuring her that I loved both her and her father, and that I would try to make them happy. But Lyra became very distrustful and withdrawn. With each passing day, it became increasingly difficult for me to communicate with my stepdaughter. From a neighbor, I learned that Zhenya's wife was a talented artist. Everything in her life was going well. But after the birth of her daughter, she fell into depression and ultimately took her own life. Her death was a huge blow to Zhenya. He started drinking heavily and completely neglected his daughter. But then, everything changed one day. "You won't believe it," the neighbor told me. Zhenya said he found an old doll in a suitcase and threw it. His deceased wife communicates with him. Their life started improving. The guy stopped hitting the bottle, started a business, took care of his daughter, and now you've appeared. The last words shocked me. But if this monster meant so much to Zhenya, I would tidy it up and try to accept that it occupied such a significant place in my family's life. But as soon as I secretly picked up the doll, Lyra in the next room screamed and burst into tears. The girl began to repeat, "Don't touch her. She'll retaliate. She'll do bad things to all of us. You just don't understand." Zhenya, who came running at her cries, became angry, thinking that I had somehow upset his daughter. Waiting for the moment when my beloved went away on a business trip, I threw away the doll. Lyra was in kindergarten at the time. In the evening, the hideous toy was found on our balcony. At night, a frightened Lyra came to me and confessed that she had wanted to get rid of the toy herself, but couldn't. She was afraid. That's when I decided to burn the doll before my husband returned and forbade it. I lit a fire in the yard and threw it in front of Lyra's eyes. The plastic melted, and both the girl and I breathed a sigh of relief. That night, I saw Zhenya's late wife in a dream, who said to someone, "Leave us alone. Don't torment either me or my daughter. Live in this doll." With these words, she gouged out the doll's eyes, laughing and crying alternately, and then took her own life. I woke up in horror. It was still dark. Lyra stood beside the bed, grinning menacingly. "I suppose I should thank you, but it would have been better for you if I had remained in the doll," she hissed maliciously. And then I understood. A demon was trapped in the doll, and after we burned it, somehow it had transferred to Valeriya. I had destroyed my own happiness and my new family with my own hands.